Welcome to CARICOMP Insider, where high-tech facial recognition meets real-world intelligence.
Right now, somewhere inside your company, there's probably an AI system no one on the legal team even knows exists. It might be buried inside your HR software, screening resumes. It might be tucked into your building's security camera, scanning faces at the door. And under the European Union's new AI law, that invisible system could trigger compliance obligations that nobody's preparing for, because nobody wrote down what it actually does. This matters whether you run a company or just walk into one. If your face gets scanned at a mall entrance, at an office lobby, at a stadium gate, the protections you're supposed to have depend entirely on whether someone, somewhere, filled out the right paperwork about that system. And if that feels unsettling, it should. But understanding how this process works is exactly how you stop feeling powerless about it. Today I want to pull back the curtain on the unglamorous machinery that actually decides whether AI regulation can protect you. It's not the algorithm, it's not the ban list. It's a spreadsheet. So what's actually in that spreadsheet? And why does everything depend on it? When most people hear about the EU AI Act, they picture a simple checklist. Banned uses at the top, high-risk systems in the middle, low risk at the bottom. You look up your AI tool, find its category, and follow the rules. That's how headlines make it sound, and honestly, that's a reasonable assumption. Regulatory summaries lead with the dramatic stuff. No untargeted facial scraping, no workplace emotion detection. But those prohibitions are just the visible tip. The real regulatory machine runs underneath, and it starts with 3 deeply unglamorous questions. What AI systems do we actually have? Who's responsible for each one? And does each one qualify as high risk? That first question, what do we actually have, is where most organizations stumble. According to the article in Information Age, most companies discover their AI footprint is far larger and more scattered than anyone expected. AI features are hiding inside customer relationship platforms, analytics dashboards, procurement tools, security products. The legal team might know about the chatbot on the website, but they almost never know about the AI quietly scoring job applicants inside the HR platform, or the algorithm flagging unusual behavior in the security feed. That gap between what a company thinks it's running and what it's actually running, that's the single biggest compliance blind spot in AI regulation today. So what does a proper inventory actually look like? A weak one just lists product names. Chatbot, analytics tool, resume screener. A minimum viable inventory, the kind the regulation actually demands, documents at least 12 distinct facts about every single system. Who's the business owner? Who's the technical owner? What vendor built it? What's its intended purpose? Who uses it? What kind of data goes in? How the output gets used, where a human reviews the decision, what risk category it likely falls into, what transparency notices users need to see, who owns the evidence trail, and what happens when something goes wrong. 12 facts per system, and every compliance obligation downstream traces back to whether those facts are accurate. Now, why does this matter for something like facial recognition, the kind of technology that might scan your face at a building entrance or a shopping mall? Under the EU AI Act's Annex 3, biometric identification and categorization systems are classified as high risk. Those high-risk obligations kick in starting the 2nd of August 2026. But the Act draws a sharp line between two uses of the same technology. Verification is one-to-one matching. Your face compared against your own stored template to unlock a door. Identification is one-to-many matching. Your face compared against a database of thousands to figure out who you are. Identification faces much stricter requirements, and the algorithm in both cases could be identical, same code, same neural network, same accuracy rate. The difference isn't the technology, it's the documented role, how someone wrote down what the system is for. A facial comparison system controlling access to a single office building might not qualify as high risk if it only performs verification. Deploy that exact same system in a shopping mall to identify individuals from a watch list, and it clearly falls into the high-risk category. Same hardware, same software, completely different legal obligations. And which category applies? That depends on whether someone documented the system's purpose, its data inputs, its decision outputs, and its human oversight points, all 12 of those inventory facts. Skip the inventory, and you can't classify, misclassify, and you end up with weaker safeguards than the law actually requires. For anyone who's ever had their face scanned walking into a building, that means your protections hinge on paperwork you'll never see. There's a useful way to picture this. Imagine a city that's never been mapped. Regulators know there are buildings everywhere, but nobody's walked the streets to list every structure, what it's for, who owns it, what's connected to it. Without that map, zoning enforcement is impossible. You might accidentally classify a house as an industrial site, which means it gets inspected under the wrong standard. The EUAI Act is the zoning code. The inventory is the deed. Without the deed, compliance is guesswork. The regulation's most powerful enforcement tool isn't the AI itself. It's the documentation that describes what the AI does. Miss that documentation and you miss the compliance. Not because the law failed, but because nobody mapped the building. So, 3 things to remember. 1. Before any AI system gets regulated, someone has to write down exactly what it does, who owns it, and what decisions it affects. 2. Most organizations have far more AI running than anyone on the legal team realizes. 3. The same facial recognition technology can land in completely different legal categories depending on how it's used, and that difference only exists if someone documented it. Whether your face is being scanned at work or at the grocery store, your protection comes down to whether someone, somewhere, filled out the right spreadsheet. The full story's in the description if you want the deep dive.
Now you know something most people in this industry don't. Use it. And when you're ready to put it to work, caracomp.com. We'll see you tomorrow.